you might find that you lose focus on the present, or you might feel as though you don't have the time to stop and appreciate life's gifts. It is true that meditation is a practice, and it can create change when you make the time to practice it. But even when you are short on time, it is important to prioritize what matters most. You can always find time to be mindful, even if just for a few minutes. You might find that closing your eyes to tune out the outside world for a moment makes it easier to bring your awareness inside. So you may choose to close your eyes now. And let's begin this practice with some gentle breathing. Notice the rhythm of your natural breath. Take in a slow breath and experience the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Our breath is constant and reliable. It tethers us at all times to the present moment. Just by tuning in to the steady rhythm of your breath, you are immersing yourself in the energy of life, the energy that propels you forward and connects you to all other life on this planet. Observe whether your mind is in another place or if it is here right now. Can you allow yourself to let go of your thoughts for a moment? Can you allow your mind to be silent, except for hearing the sound of your breath? Now notice where you are carrying tension in your body. Can you allow your clenching muscles to let go? Ask yourself, how do you feel in this very moment? Can you sense the peaceful energy of life flowing through you, invigorating you with every breath? You are the embodiment of this lively energy. Your body is a miracle and a gift, the vehicle through which you have the privilege of experiencing this beautiful world. Take a moment now to find something or someone to appreciate. Sense the feeling of gratitude within you. And send it outward to the world around you. In a moment, you will open your eyes and come out of this state of stillness and peace. But do your best to move forward with your day with a residual feeling of gratitude. As you continue on with your day, I challenge you to continue cultivating gratitude. Perhaps you can even find something positive out of an experience that seems negative at first. Now, we will end this practice with a deep breath, breathing in love and breathing out eternal appreciation. Thank you for practicing with me today. I am grateful that you did. I hope you have a joyful day.
And I am very grateful for that beautiful moment that we were able to spend together this morning. It's always such a great way to really start your day and kind of get into the flow with the right energy and right foundational setting. Just a great way to begin. I like to do that first thing in the morning, always, before I do anything. I shouldn't say that. Take a shower. Once the shower's done, that's the first thing I do in the morning. Before I turn on the computer, before I check email, before I really dive into the hectic 3D world that we're living in. And I think the other part of that, really that gratitude, mindfulness, meditation, no matter what kind of headspace, feeling space that you're in any given moment during the course of the day, if you're upset about something, if you're fearful about something, if you're anxious, if you just take a mental step back, just take a step back, however you're feeling in that moment, take a step back and just close your eyes for a minute and imagine one of the most joyful moments that you can remember in your life. It could be any number of things, but just bring that into your heart, bring that image into your being, and then think about how grateful you are for that experience. It's amazing what just that little bit can do to kind of break the fear or the anxiety or the anger, for that matter, that you're feeling in the moment. I am very excited about bringing on my next piece here, my good friend Lee Harris. And Lee is going to give us an energy update for January, really bringing us into 2025. And Lee is a globally acclaimed energy intuitive. He's a channeler, brilliant musician, who offers grounded, practical teachings focused on helping conscious, intuitive, and sensitive people heal, thrive, and live a better life. He's got a number of books out. He's got a brilliant YouTube channel. He does a lot of live in-person workshops, retreats around the world. So I would encourage you to check Lee out. LeeHarrisEnergy.com is where you can find his website, and then links to all of his socials, including his really excellent YouTube channel where he shares a lot of great content there. So let's let Lee walk us through January and those energy updates, and then after that I'll be back with you, and then I'm going to bring you one of Lee's new songs, which is absolutely gorgeous. Can't wait to share it with you. But here's Lee with his energy update. Hey, Lee.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the energy update for January 2025. I'm Lee. I'm an intuitive, and every month I take the pulse on what might be showing up for us collectively, energetically. Just 3 of the themes that we will be taking a look at this month are bewilderment and grief turn into transformation, cosmic and spiritual messages on overdrive, and transforming the victim-perpetrator dynamic. Stay tuned for the full update. Hello everybody, welcome to the energy update for January 2025, the first of this year. And I'm also going to be doing a full annual forecast taking a look at the themes of the year to come. I'll be doing that free and live on January 22nd. So use the link below if you want to join. And if you're watching this in the first half of January, there is still time to join us on the Big Love Tour. I will be in Dublin, Berlin, Amsterdam, Stockholm, and London between January 3rd and January 12th with my live Big Love Tour, also accompanied by Davor Bozik. And we've just announced Australia and New Zealand. So in April, we'll be in Australia and New Zealand with the Big Love Tour. So can't wait to bring that to all of those places and to get to work with you live. But for today, let's take a look at the themes for January 2025. It's funny, I have 8 themes, as I usually get 8 themes, but my headline for this month is A Strange January. I know that's the understatement of the year because it's been quite a strange few years, but the Strange January headline is to remind you that if this January doesn't feel quite like any January you previously remember, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There are many things about January that can be tricky for us. I think January can traditionally be a month where many people feel a bit lost or deflated, especially after the Christmas season, if you're somebody who celebrates Christmas. But we also have New Year's resolutions and a lot associated with the beginning of a new year. Probably more of you than ever before will feel more unhooked from old traditions. So that's one aspect of why January will feel a little strange, but the message that I was getting from my guides as I was gathering all of these themes is that don't be too surprised if January is very, very different to what you are usually used to. You may have had a way of approaching January in the past. This January will feel different for pretty much all of us. So just stay alive and stay nimble. I'll give you the themes now, and hopefully 1 or 2 or 3 of these might help you navigate your month. So first theme is the old is leaving us fast. The old is leaving us fast. So we've been going through an energetic shakedown where old parts of ourselves, old ways of being, old behaviors, or perhaps old physical issues that you've been dealing with have been leaving many of us at speed. So particularly between September and December of 2024, a lot of us were pushed very fast through the removal of old programming, old beliefs, perhaps old relationships or outdated relationships. And this will have probably, for many of you, had moments where it felt dramatic or painful or propulsive and intense. These were very intense months on the planet, the last 2 months of the year. So if you didn't find yourself moving through a lot of that, it might be that you're coming into it now and it's a little late for you. But for those of you who've already gone through a lot of that, where a lot of your old ways of thinking, being, feeling, wanting, needing changed, this is going to be a month where things can start to calm down for you and begin to stabilize if they hadn't already. So whenever old parts of us leave, it can have a very big effect on our outer world. There are usually a few different ways we go through this. We change internally, and then at some point, our external catches up with who we've become internally, or sometimes things happen toward us. People leave our lives, or events happen that we didn't see coming that then change us internally. The last 3 months or so, at the end of 2024, there will have been more of us than before going through this deep reckoning with who are we? What are we here for? What do we want now? What are we here to give now? How do we balance our place in this rapidly changing world? So there will have been a lot of soul searching for many people and a lot of release. Now, for many, that period is going to be over, and you are going to start to move into more of a fertile ground where you can rebuild yourself, your life, and rebuild new ways of being. So that leads me to theme number 2, which is the new begins. The new begins. So it's a cliche that January is a time of the new, but actually a lot of you will feel that in January in a way that I don't feel that we have for many years. You know, over the last few years, I've often felt like January has been a little bit of a hangover from the year before energetically, and it's almost taken until February for things to start moving. This January feels very different. It feels like it starts quicker and with more momentum for more people. So those of you who felt either emptiness or disorientation, you're now going to start to move towards transformation and the beginning of building a new world for yourself and for others. When we let go of a lot, or when a lot changes in our life, it can leave us feeling off center, sometimes a little rudderless. We don't quite know which direction to go in. And you can even just feel very odd in yourself, even in your traditional daily interactions that previously to you were normal and they were what happened. All of a sudden you can find yourself in your body and you're going through the conversations with people, but some part of you no longer feels quite the same. So that for many can leave you feeling either empty about certain things you used to enjoy or you used to like or you used to feel engaged by. That emptiness is now what you feel. And that's a little strange or disconcerting. Equally, you can feel disoriented because you're no longer how you were, but you haven't yet become something new. Well, if that has been your story for recent months, for most of us, as we go through the month of January, that will start to shift into a forward moving direction where the new begins. So it's always good to not feel like you have to rush to fix things. If you've gone through a big purge in your life, either things have left you or desires have left you, or perhaps people or places or things have changed in your life, it's not always good to try and fill that hole quickly. It's important to give yourself time and space, because if you really have changed that much, you don't necessarily want to lock yourself into a series of new things quickly. You want to give yourself time to feel your way through it. And as something comes into your life and you go, yeah, that feels good, that feels aligned, sure, I'll agree to that for this month anyway. Be gentle and slow with the process of rebuilding. So even though new opportunities might come your way, or you might be, for the first time in months, more open to new things than you were because you were in too much of a purge or too much of an energetic shakedown before, be gentle with your long-term commitments. That's really important right now because it's still a very transitory and transformational time that we find ourselves in as a planet. So you don't want to quickly lock in a brand new life that's very, very cemented, because you might find in 6 to 9 months, some of those things you've locked in tightly need to be undone again. A better question is, why do I need to lock things in so tightly? What is it I'm nervous about that things aren't as fixed as I remember them being? Because if you think about it, a spiritual truth of our life is nothing is fixed. None of us know how long we've got here on this planet. We hope we may live a long and healthy life, but we know that isn't true for all of us. So some level of detachment is very, very healthy. And this might be your moment of coming out of this period of feeling you had to let go of everything. And some part of you is dying to fix everything again and go, God, I'd love it if it all just felt tidy. Might not feel tidy for a while, but there is power in the mess. There is power in the chaos. You are learning to live within the chaos, but from a much stronger standpoint inside yourself. Perhaps before it was all of the external things in your life that made you feel secure. And as we know, those are illusions that will change. Doesn't mean they aren't beautiful. Our relationships with other people are beautiful. Our commitments to things are beautiful. They're a part of life, but none of them will be fixed forever. They will all change and transform. So as you move into this season of new beginnings, ask yourself what feels really resonant for you to say yes to. And how long is your yes going to be? If someone says, please say yes to this and sign a 2-year contract, I'd be a little iffy about that right now. But if they let you sign a 2-week contract, fine. So the message is new is beginning, but for those of you who've gone through a very seismic change in your life, let the same amount of time happen for the rebuild. Don't rush to fix things into place too quickly, because you might stop yourself or fix yourself at a level that is lower than you ultimately want to get to. You're on a journey, and that upward journey needs to complete its transition to the next level before you too quickly fix and lock things down. So watch out for the temptation to lock things down. That's not going to go so well for most if you start doing that in January. But pay attention to what you want to try on for size, and see these things as seasons that you're moving through, because you are becoming new. So you don't really know yet what the new you really thinks about this thing until you've experienced it for a while. And so you will have to immerse yourself in some experiences, but lightly. That's the key. You are becoming more of a light body, so we operate in a lighter way than we may have previously, and that's okay. Theme number 3, bewilderment and grief turns into transformation. Bewilderment and grief turns into transformation. So, for any of you who've been bewildered by the world, your own life, what's going on in your life, or for any of you who've been grieving for the exact same areas, now it's going to start to turn towards transformation. We had a huge wave of grief happen for a lot of people from November through December. So now we're coming into the period where you get to see things differently. My guides said many years ago that grief is the great transformer. Whenever we are going through a grief period, as brutal as it can feel when it's got hold of you, because, grief is like taking deep dives in the waves. And when grief comes and it takes you. And until it's done with you, it doesn't let you surface and come up for air again. So it is this incredibly transformational process. And what we have to do is be able to allow grief to do its work through us. And at the other end of grief, it doesn't mean we come out of it and don't necessarily not miss the person that perhaps we just lost. We'll always perhaps miss them on some level, but we are different because of what we've just lost, or who we've just lost, or parts of ourselves that we feel we've just lost. We come out on the other side different and transformed. So those of you who've been in a bewildering or a grief phase, you're about to go into the transformation phase. And the key to that is remembering that you now have new ways of seeing and letting go of outdated behaviors, patterns, and relationships. Even if your journey lately has been that a significant loved one in your life died, and it's all been about that person, and you've been focused on, okay, I just lost this person who was really important to me, and I've just been grieving that. You will not be the same on the other side of that. Even if the rest of your life remains intact and you think you've just lost one person, it will change you. You will now be becoming your own version of whatever that person stood for in your life. You may look for it and find it in other people too, but you'll also, because of your reflection on that person and your relationship, you will be becoming your own version of some aspect of what you got in that relationship. So you're different. And that does mean you start seeing everything differently. You start feeling everything differently. So this bewilderment and grief turning into transformation, yes, it means elements of your life now can start transforming, but the biggest transformation has happened inside you. You're now going to see and let go of outdated behaviors, patterns, and relationships. And this can be its own kind of grief and challenge. Letting go of anything that we've been in for a long time can come with emotional pain and discomfort and displacement for everybody. But there's going to be a lot of that happening in January for people, especially for those of you who felt like you haven't been able to take action on some of this stuff for months. The part of you that's ready to take action is going to kick in. And that's going to create some changes and some ripples in your life. They will ultimately be for the better, even if navigating them is challenging in the short-term moment or when you're making those changes. So it's going to be a very powerful month for those of you who feel like your power comes back to you after many months. And it will be that you start moving and changing some things. Theme number 4, focus forward on what you wish to create. Focus forward on what you wish to create. This starts the process of transformation, even if you change your mind or direction during the process. So when we focus forward and start creating something, it begins transformation in our life, which is great. But sometimes because we start driving in that direction, we realize, oh, I'm driving slightly the wrong way. And we would never have known that if we didn't start driving. And then we go, okay, I need to go a little bit right, or I need to go a little bit left, or I need to phone that person and say, oh, I can't come to your house anymore because I've realized I can't reach the destination in time. So certain things might change. And this goes back to what I was saying about don't lock yourself into any long-term commitments. There's going to need to be a certain level of flexibility and fluidity in January with how things shake out. But this message of focus forward on what you wish to create, this starts the process of transformation. It's very powerful. And even if all you do this month is sit down and write down on a piece of paper or type a few things that you wish to create in the world this year. Might be that you wish to create more peace and space for yourself. Might be that you wish to create something that's really going to help in your community or the world at large. Whatever it is, and there should be multiple things, by the way. It's usually more than one thing that we are looking to create. Just by giving it a little attention, a little focus forward, you start the energy moving and it will start to come. So January is a great month at the very least for doing something like that. You don't have to take action if you're tired or if you're exhausted or if you're one of our hibernators. I just did my monthly broadcast for my members community, the portal, and I was addressing the group, and about 20% of my portal community, according to what I got from the Z's, they're in hibernation mode till February. Good for them. They've shut the door. They're keeping it quiet. They're like, I've had enough. I'm just gonna dial this down. And they're very happy. They're very happy where they are. But maybe one thing they might do is just to focus a little forward attention on what they wish to create so that they can start the process of transformation, or just, light the fire without having to really follow through. So you can change your mind and direction through the process. And to be honest, that's what creativity is. Creativity is not executing a master plan that you've mapped out. Creativity is actually being open to co-create with the universe. As you start creating, the energy of creativity will show you, will shape you, will change you, will ask you to do something differently. That's the beauty of it. It's a dance and it's a relationship. So be in relationship with your own transformation. That's especially useful if you're a little bit sorry for yourself right now. If you're feeling a bit down or a bit deflated about life, feeling a bit sorry for yourself, thinking that things aren't going your way, sit down with a pen and paper and write down what it is you'd like to create. Put the power back into your own hands. Theme number 5, cosmic and spiritual messages on overdrive. Cosmic and spiritual messages on overdrive. What are your experiences of the other worlds right now, including ghosts? A lot more people are having experiences with the other side, literally with people who have passed over. And this might be people that you're related to, or it might just be an increase for some people in seeing through the veil. My guides, the Z's, spoke about this. They said this was going to happen, that this was going to, as we went through these years that we're in now, more people would start opening up psychically. And for some, that would involve seeing through the veil to the other side. So if you are somebody who this is happening to, there is a reason it's happening for you. I always say, if it is happening to you, rather than just suffer in silence or struggle in silence, see what's out there that can support you with this. See what other people who are experiencing the same thing are sharing or advising. What advice is out there about your experience? But it will be one of two reasons it's happening to you. You might be someone who's supposed to be a voice, a teacher, or an advocate in this area. Now might not be the time. Right now, you might be figuring it out and learning. But in the future, you might end up being a voice for this. But also, this is partly where we're going. We are becoming a more psychically aware society, and that shows up very differently for different people. Some people are very connected to angels, some are very connected to ghosts, some are very connected to guides. It's a very big world, and as we start to tap into, in a way, these different highways of information and connection beyond us, we start to remember that we are cosmic and we are multidimensional. We're not just the small humans we've been trained to believe we are. So, cosmic and spiritual messages are on overdrive for many. More people are opening. More people are listening. I always say, messages from spirit are not in charge of you. You're in charge of you. And you can co-create with spirit. And that's a really important place to start from. I think sometimes because we've not been trained around spirit and we've got funny ideas about it, I've met people who say, oh, well, my guides told me to do this or say this, and this apparition I had told me to do this or say this. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about it? Because you're the one that's A, going to have to act on it, and B, you're the one that's going to have to deal with any consequences. So remember, this is a relationship. It's not a dictatorship. And if you're seeing it that way, it's important to do more research, learn a bit more about what's happening to you, especially if you're new to your spiritual awakening or your psychic opening, because these kinds of phenomena are on the increase, which is why I think there are more and more of us who do this kind of work, because we all need many different voices, many different ways of understanding the same message. So, theme number 6. Knowing your vibration and noticing that of others. Knowing your vibration and noticing that of others. So, our vibration is something that changes all the time. You know, we can be in a happy and open vibration. We can be in a really depressed, deflated, pulled back vibration. And we can go for lunch with someone and we're not feeling great, but they're really great. They're really uplifted. They're really open. And we start to raise our vibration just because we're with them and it's fun, and then we can lift. Equally, it can go the other way. We might bring them down because they're trying to, be happy and lifted, and we're like, oh, everything's miserable. And eventually they get worn down by us and they leave the lunch and they're like, oh, what happened to me? And it's like, Lee, happened to you. That's what happened. So paying attention to your own vibration and that of others. If you think about it, we do this all the time when we see someone that we care about who's down. You see someone you love or care about and you're like, oh, I want to see if I can help them or uplift them or check they're okay. I'll ask them how they're doing, whatever is right for the relationship with that person. But now we're at a point where it's really important to know that about yourself at all times. And even with strangers who you've never met, do you know how you're feeling? And are you kind of keeping your eye on that through the day and noticing when you go down, noticing when you uplift? It can be very helpful if you've been down for a few days and all of a sudden you go out and you're with people and you go, oh, I feel so much better. Pay attention. You went out and you were with people and you lifted. Maybe you're spending too much time alone. Maybe making sure you have a bit more community in your life is going to keep your vibration higher. So noticing what keeps you open and more uplifted, and noticing what negatively affects that too. And making sure that you are aware. So I wrote down, self-care requires being self-aware. Self-care requires being self-aware. So I think caring for others requires being aware of others, and that's its own skill. But caring for yourself requires being aware of yourself. So are you just checking in every now and then, a few times a day, noticing how you fluctuate, noticing why you may have fluctuated and what happened? We can learn from that and we can make shifts. This is a new sense for us, knowing our vibration and noticing the vibration of others. This is a whole new sense that's kicking in for more of us than ever before. So it's a new thing to learn and to play with. Theme number 7, physical body upgrades. Physical body upgrades. Are you choosing to physically change, or are circumstances changing you? Now, physical body upgrades is a part of the awakening process, spiritual process, the whole thing. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but interesting that this is coming up a lot at this time. So you might be going through a whole new relationship with your body at the moment, a healthy one where you're either perhaps being kinder to yourself and your body than you were. Maybe you're more interested in looking after it in a certain way. Or it could be that something has come along that's got your attention where your physical body is concerned. Physical sensitivities are on the rise. So more people are having sensitivities, whether it's around your digestion or the way that your skin or your body is reacting to something. A lot of us are being asked to essentially be higher in our vibration, in our physical bodies. And of course, it's always a journey and it's a dance, and we go up and down with those kinds of things, but there is a bit of a bright light on that at the moment for more of us than ever before. So it might be that you are choosing an upgrade. It might be that you are being forced into an upgrade through some kind of health challenge or health awareness that finds you, not necessarily the other way around. So physical body upgrades, the thing to ask yourself is, how can I love and support my body more? How can I love and support my body more? Our bodies are amazing. They will tell us what they need. Do you ask questions of your body? Do you ask questions of different parts of you before you eat a certain type of food? Do you consider this plate of food and this plate of food? And do you let your body give you a sense of which one it wants? So often we think with our tongue and our mind and our habits, but actually it's always a great thing when you've got multiple choice in front of you. Ask yourself, which one makes my body feel a bit brighter and lighter? I've had that experience many times. It's not always the one that my tongue wanted to choose, but the body is kind of clear. Oh no, it's this one. And you're like, okay. So there will be a physical body upgrade around awareness and around health. And the final theme, transforming the victim-perpetrator dance on Earth. Even as we experience it personally and collectively, healing is happening. So over the years, I've taught on the topic of empaths and narcissists, and I'm very aware that narcissist is a very easy label these days. Lots of people are getting whacked with that label who maybe they were narcissistic in a certain hour or two of their day. But the truth is there is a power dynamic in that relationship. And usually when one party is in control of another party, it means that there are equal wounds on both sides. The one who wants to control the other has a wound, and the one who is willing to let themselves be controlled, either because of love or because of whatever, it's coming from a deep, low self-esteem, low self-worth that matches this person who looks very powerful, but maybe isn't caring for you, actually, in the way that you'd like to tell yourself they are. So this victim-perpetrator dance on Earth, which we see all the time, I mean, it's why I can't watch a lot of movies these days, because they end in this battle of, good and die. It's a really old, boring, simple story that, yes, we need to learn that story, but it's a very old story and it's very limited. So transforming the victim-perpetrator dance on Earth is going to be something that we continue to go through as a society. And we may see it play out globally. We may see it play out on the world stage. We may have it playing out right in front of us. But you yourself will be going through a shift around being a victim or being a perpetrator. Maybe you're reviewing parts of your life where you're not so proud of how you behaved towards someone else. Maybe you made someone feel like a victim of you at some point, and you're either reviewing that or making amends. Equally, maybe you're going back to a time in your life or a moment in your life where you really felt like a victim of another person or a circumstance, and you're sitting deeply in those feelings to transmute and transform them. because those roles are not fixed for any of us as souls. Those roles are roles that we can walk into or find ourselves in. Sometimes they're thrust upon us against our will. And the trick is the journey to recover ourselves and our soul and to heal. So if you right now are in a real difficult time where you really feel like you're the victim of something, this is not the time for you to have to overcome. This is the time for you to heal and recover. And maybe down the line, you'll look back at what you've been through and you'll be able to see some other layers. But this victim-perpetrator dance on earth, it's shifting. It's its own form of control. It's its own form of keeping people down. And it's shifting because those roles are transmutable. And so we will see examples of people shifting this. We will see leaders shifting through this. And I don't mean world leaders, I mean people who are leading, being an example of this on earth. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But the message is healing is happening. Where the victim-perpetrator dance is concerned, healing is happening. So there will be some of you out there who find yourself this might be the heart of your process right now, but it will lead you back to your power, your sovereignty, and your soul. So I hope something I've said this month can help you with this strange January.
Yeah. Wow. That really helped me. Thank you so much, Lee. I don't know about you guys out there, but there was a number of topics, themes, as Lee calls it, that he brought up that really resonated with me and relatable in my life right now. So that was awesome. So I've got a couple of things left for you here in this hour. We're going to do a quick promo break, and then I'm going to play a new song from Lee that I'm excited about. It's called I Am Grateful, which kind of fits the theme of, I think, today's show, I Am Grateful. And that's going to take us into the top of the hour, where right after the top of the hour news and weather, we're going to bring in my guest, Dr. Isla Fishburn. And that's going to be fantastic. So let's go ahead and get this rolling, and then I'll be back with you with my guest.
My name's Luella Arrows, and you can catch my show Dream Gaze Overtone Friday nights 5 to 7. We'll be grooving together to sounds of the underground, tunes with the general behind the times beat, and heavy doses of reverb-laden ambiance. Dream Gaze Overtone Friday nights 5 to 7 on 104.7 KXFM Laguna Beach.
Hi, this is Ben from Tiger
I'm
Jar, and
Dr.
you're
Bob,
listening to
KXFM, Saturday mornings. I'm the curator of rock and roll from 1950s and 1960s. Rockin' with the Doc, 7 to 10 a.m. Saturday mornings, 104.7 Laguna's Community Radio. Tune in, turn on, keep rockin'.
I am grateful for the love of this life. I am grateful for my life. I am grateful for the love. I am grateful for my life. I am grateful for the love around me, inside me. I am grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to us. Thank you, universe. Thank you for all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to us. Thank you, universe. Thank you. Thank you to all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all. Thank you. Thank you. I am grateful for the waking day, for the vast ocean, for the birds, for the trees, for the stars. I am grateful for the sky, for you, for me. I'm grateful for my place in this vast universe. I am grateful for my life. I am grateful for the love around me, inside me. I am grateful for my life. I am grateful for the love. I am grateful for my life. I am grateful for the love around me, inside me, around me, inside me.
wheels of life.
I am grateful for all.
KXRN LP, Laguna Niguel, Laguna Beach. KXFM on 104.7, KXFMradio.org.
Hey there, everyone. This is Janice Murray with news. It is of highest importance that we all be watching out for fires tonight through tomorrow. A red flag warning is in effect from today at 4 p.m. through Wednesday at 6 p.m. That means a combination of potentially strong winds, low humidity, and a lack of rain. The perfect combination for fires. Any fires that develop will likely spread quickly. Southern California Edison has informed us there may be a public safety power shutoff to de-energize a fire. They say they will notify all customers affected, including critical care facilities. So be aware, keep a lookout, and if you even smell a fire, call 911. Also be ready to evacuate with your emergency bag, including water and pharmaceuticals, among other essentials. And stay tuned to 104.7 KXFM for Dave Murray's weather updates. And I'm Janice Murray for news. Be safe, everyone.
Hi, this is KXFM meteorologist Dave Murray. The red flag warning stays up until 6 o'clock tonight. High fire danger continues, all because of a fairly strong Santa Ana event. It continues most of the day today. Certainly some impressive winds last night. That will be the story again during the morning hours today. Strong and gusty winds that could go over 50 miles per hour. I think the strongest will be up until about noontime today. Now, it's still windy in the afternoon, but the winds will start to slowly ease. Slow is the key word here. However, the winds will continue into Wednesday night and Thursday, just not as strong, and then they really drop off by Friday. So on this Wednesday, sunny skies, bone dry air. You can feel it in your eyes, not only because of the low humidity, but the blowing dust and debris. Strong winds. Again, up until about noontime, the strongest over 50 miles per hour. A slow fade during the afternoon. Very slow. 68 at the beach, 68 at the mountaintop, 66 the canyon. Tonight, clear skies. It's breezy with fading winds. 48 on Thursday, sunny, bone dry conditions continue. Now, it's still windy on Thursday, but the winds will be a little bit lighter. 66 degrees, and Friday, sunny with definitely less wind on Friday, 62. Extra care out there. That's my forecast. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray. Tune in, turn on to KXFM 104.7, Laguna's Community Radio.
Thank you for that, Dave. And we are back on Wake Up Laguna. This is Rick Jorgensen here on KXFM, and I am really excited about bringing on my next guest. She is here with me on the screen, actually, all the way from the UK. So it's a bit later there in the day. It's not quite Wake Up Laguna there, but I think she's wide awake anyway. So I introduced Isla here a little bit earlier, but I think just to kind of set the stage again for who she is and where I think she's going to take us today. She's an intuitive canine wellness alchemist. Now, just that alone draws me in, like intuitive canine wellness alchemist. She's a shamanic practitioner and a soul nourisher. I can't even speak this morning. Soul nourisher for people and animals. So I'm really excited about bringing her in. I think I'm just going to just jump her right on in here and let her say hi to everybody. Welcome, Isla.
Oh, good morning, Rick. It's absolute delight to be here. And yeah, it's definitely our nana nap season here in the UK in the afternoon, but definitely wide awake and raring to go and share to everyone that is ready to hear and listen and receive.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I'll make sure that everyone has your contact information has your website, etc. It'll be in my show notes. I'll post this recording of this pretty quickly after we're done here, and people can find this in my show notes. They'll find it on my YouTube channel as well, all of your contact information, because you're really going to want to learn a lot more about Isla and her practice after today. I know I am, certainly. So I'm excited to have you here. Thank you again for being here with us.
Oh, honestly, it's a delight to be here. I can't wait to get started with however the conversation is going to flow and go.
Well, let me ask you a little bit about just kind of the start of your journey. Can you share with us a little bit about how you combined zoology and conservation biology, and then, of course, the shamanic practices into your work? How did that journey bring you to this point?
Oh, do you know, it's such a beautiful and rich question, and it feels like if anybody's not seen the Goonies, this statement is going to be wasted on them. But it's a little bit like on the Goonies when Chunk gets kidnapped and they're like, we want to know everything. And he's like, everything. And they're like, everything. And he starts from like basically when he was born. It's kind of been a progressive journey through a series of events and experiences. So if I may, I'm going to take you all back to when I was like a little teeny tiny child. I've always, ever since a child, I've always just kind of had a knowing that everything is alive. Not that I could receive back when I was little, when I was a kid, but I just always acknowledged stones, trees, plants, earth, water, stars, just like, hi, hi, hi. So I've always had that knowing, but at that age, I never really received anything back. But just had that knowing. But also when I was a child, I also had a wolf and bear with me. Like this wolf and bear, to me, were very real, very alive, very large. And I assumed everybody else could see this, to me, real life wolf and bear. When I got a little bit older, I realized that only I could see it. And that was indication to me like, okay, they're just two of my power animals or spirit animals that are traveling with me in support and protection and information. So I've always kind of had this spiritual awareness, or awareness that everything is alive and that we can connect to it and that we can receive. And then with that, I've always been fascinated with science. So I've always kind of had one foot in academia, one foot in science, and one foot in spirituality. But what I love about that is science, the fundamental basis of science is on spirituality anyway, when we kind of go way, way, way back to how science was originally formed and created. So I've always had a love, therefore, of kind of getting everyone to be, in whatever way feels right for them, but to be inspired and connected to nature, to conservation. Just for me, it's our brothers and sisters that we share this earth and this land and this universe and cosmos with. So at that point, I really had a love for animals. So I wanted to learn more and study more about animals. That took me on my zoology route. But whilst I was doing my zoology degree, a lot of my first modules were in plants. And I was quite naive at that time. I was like, I don't really care about the plants. Plants are so boring. Like really disrespectful to the plants. I'm really sorry. But I then developed this beautiful fascination with plants alongside with animals, of how we can connect intuitively to our plant friends and actually how they're here for our health and our wellness as much as our animal friends are and all of life. And that desire continued into my master's and PhD, which is in conservation biology and ecosystem services. Now, with ecosystem services, I developed this fascination and understanding that everything is an ecosystem. So we live on Earth as an ecosystem as one, but as an individual, we are also an ecosystem. So it's kind of this dance and interplay between ecosystem as one and us being part of oneness, and then also how we safeguard and nourish our own individual ecosystem. During that time, I then wanted to be a wolf conservation biologist. So I was kind of completing my PhD, wanted to, the area of conservation I wanted to go into was wolf conservation. And that took me on a route of 3 years working with captive wolves. So I spent 3 years working with captive wolves, which again took me deeper into the nature of animals, just where animals live from, their presence, they're living in the moment, that place of just now, and that place of the heart, that place of sincerity, that place of non-judgment, that place of unconditional love, of like, we're here, we're living, we're full of joy, we're full of happening and happiness. And then during the time that I was working with wolves, I started to meet many, many people that wanted to come and meet the wolves, wanted to learn about them, wanted to hear about their conservation, ecology, behavior. but I kind of kept hearing the same thing. And although they had this love for an animal that they didn't even have any connection association with because they didn't live with that animal, many of these people had their own dog. And the conversations they would share with me, really innocently so and naively so, was around their dog, around, oh, well, my dog's stupid, or my dog needs to do what I tell it to do, or my dog's trying to manipulate me, or what's my dog thinking? And I'm like, oh, I'm really curious here how there's been this separation and disconnection between like a wild wolf and the honoring and the love and respect and admiration that we have. And yet that's kind of been diluted in our animal friends that we've chosen to domesticate and live with. And so it kind of then took me on this journey of how do I connect with animal guardians to understand their animals and ecosystem and how we conserve their ecosystem emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, and also how the animal friend is in our life as an expression of spirit to awaken our own soul evolution, healing, and consciousness from the heart.
That's beautiful. That's fantastic. Thank you for walking us through that. So what inspired you to create Kachina Canine and focus on building a spiritual community for the animal industry, really?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. So the principle of Kachina is, so when I'm connecting with spirit, when I'm connecting with the consciousness of an animal, animals are really giving their symbol to me. So I often, I actually always receive their sacred symbol. So I work a lot with symbols. And when I was kind of feeling into the consciousness of the business I wanted to create, which for me is like, on one level I've created it, but in another level it has its own consciousness as well. So it's kind of like Kachina Canine is also my own boss that I connect to in terms of its spirit and spirit consciousness. So it showed me this symbol. And the concept of Kachinas are, there's a teaching around that they are teachers, that Kachinas will come in our hardest times, in our most challenging times, and our most painful times, and our times. And we're like, oh, I'm really being tested here. What's going on? And the concept, the term is Kachina. A Kachina has come to bring us a test, not to make us feel bad, not to make us feel unworthy, not to kind of point the finger and look, this is where we should judge you or you should have shame or blame. None of those things. It's actually to pull us into this place of, as I say, soul evolution, our own spiritual growth and enlightenment, which our animals are already in. They're already in that space of the heart and of knowing and connection to the infinite, connection to spirit. And I wanted to create this space to help animal guardians live from a place of being soul-led and heart-centered with their animal friends, but also by giving themselves unconditional love. Like, we really, there is such a concept around, we place so much of our own pains and wounds and unconscious triggers and charges onto our children. We're doing exactly the same thing with our animal friends, but also from a place of our animal friends are going, hey, look back at yourself. What are we presenting to you? And what we're presenting to you, how does that make you feel? And that's for us to go within and do our own personal growth and our own personal work. So it was almost like this beautiful eclectic dance of our animal friends come in our life so we can understand how to support them and their wellness needs, but also how they're in our life to bring forward our own soul consciousness life of living with them and being in ceremony with them. Our life is a ceremony.
Yes, absolutely. You know, and one of the things that you've said is that everything that exists is vibration and soul, right? How does that perspective guide your work with animals and people?
Oh, I love this. This is a great question, Rick. It really excites me so much. So the way that I see life, and I never used to, this has been a long walk for me, and it's a continued walk. But the way that I see life, including our animal friends, is that everything is an expression of spirit, including ourselves. But everything is an expression of spirit that is in their wholeness. The only life form that has been taken out of their wholeness for most of us are humans. And in order to be in this space of balance, healing, oneness, high consciousness, everything is asking us to come back into our oneness, to come back into our wholeness. It's just so beautiful that our animal friends are the ones that walk really closely beside us to go, hey, we'll be the ones that come as expression of spirit disguised in this form that you have named animal, that you've named dog, to pull you into this space of spiritual enlightenment, spiritual awakening, to have these conversations together. So what I receive when I'm channeling from animal consciousness or from my channeling guides that are called the canine people, the message that they will keep emitting is return to ceremony, return to ceremony, return to ceremony. And return to ceremony really, in a nutshell, is return to infinite consciousness, return to that space. And it's like, well, picking on dogs, or even a blackbird. I'm going to actually pick on our dogs for now. Is our dogs aren't walking around going, oh, like say for example, my dogs at the moment, I have 2 beautiful cocker spaniels. My cocker spaniels aren't walking around going, oh, I wish I was a Great Dane. Oh, I wish I was like blonde rather than brown. They're like, wow, this is me in this moment. I've been created. I am an expression of spirit, consciousness, as a fragmentation of soul in this body. If I was going to be something else, I would be something else, because I'm not. This is me. And how awesome is it to be me? Yeah, as humans, we're kind of unfortunately being conditioned to be like, there's something else that you could be better at. There's something else that you could be better, and you could be, if only you had this, if only you were this, and it's nothing about that. I am Isla. If I was going to be something else, I would be something else. So how do I embody all parts of me to go, wow, I am Isla, and there's nobody else on this planet, on this existence, in this cosmos that is me. What medicine have I got to bring? And that's what our animal friends bring to us, to go, be unconditional love, accept yourself who you are, and be fully in it, in your wholeness.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of the interesting things that you said a little bit earlier about our animal friends is that they are constantly in the present moment. They live only in the present moment. I don't think they're thinking about the past. I'm pretty sure they're not thinking about the future. I think they're just living in the moment. And it's such a great lesson for us when you think about, as many times as I've said to people that I work with, it's all about being in the present moment. When you really want to center yourself, just make sure that you're in the moment. You're not in the past. You're not in the future. You're in the now. Just pretend that there is no past, pretend there is no future, and just be in the now. So I love that. And for me, I think I could come home as I do, and maybe I've been out of the house for 3 or 4 hours. Doesn't even matter the time frame, which is another interesting concept, right? The concept of time for animals, for dogs. That's another topic that I think maybe we will get into. But I'll come home, sit down on the couch, and I've got a King Charles Spaniel, and she just literally gets right up onto my chest. She puts her paws on either side of my neck, and just with her head just goes back and forth like I've been gone forever. And it's so funny because it's the same thing every single day, right? But for me, I love it. It's kind of a way for me to, just get rid of everything that I walked in the door with, and just bring me into this space of unconditional love, of presence, right? Right, just in that moment. And it's just such an amazing feeling. And I think that's just a gift that our animal friends have to give us, right? If we accept it, right? If we accept it. And I love that. So many things about your work have intrigued me. And there's a lot of phrases that you use that I want to kind of dive into. One of those phrases is spiritual nourishment. I love that. And I'd love to know what that means to you and why it's important for both humans and animals.
Yeah, I feel it's really important as a physical being on this earth that is an expression of spirit to have a deep spiritual practice, to have that connection. And for me, that's kind of what spiritual nourishment is, where as humans, for many of us, feel so disconnected. We feel so disconnected to ourselves, so disconnected to our body, so disconnected to earth. often there's a longing for something, or a confusion, or leading into depression, and much worse things that many years ago, hey, I was in that place of, I'm just like, I just don't get life, I'm just gonna leave, I'm gonna end it. And fortunately I didn't. But knowing that because we are an expression of spirit here, having this like soul experience right now in this body as Isla, has been named Isla, to know that I have this connection to the unseen, that I have this connection to the invisible, that I have this connection to the infinite, that is also guiding me, is also supporting me, is also like, hey, you came before in a different form and you just didn't quite get there, or there's some things to hand over, or there's some things to heal from, or there's some things that your ancestors have asked you to do, or there's some things that your soul clan have asked you to do, or there's something that you need to do in order to move through and beyond and past. So having this spiritual nourishment that then supports me whilst I'm in this body, mentally, physically, and emotionally. There is, what I love in wellness is that there's so much focus now around physical nourishment, emotional nourishment, mental nourishment, but we're still kind of whispering like, oh, there's also spiritual, but we don't really get it or understand it, or, is it a little bit wacky, but I'm like, no, like, we start off as spirit before we fall into a physical being, whether that is human, whether that's non-human animal, whether it's plant, grass, water, earth, microbe, whatever it may be. We start off as spirit, we come into form, then we go back to spirit. It's like this cycle. And whether we need to come back as physical form, or we choose to come back as physical form, or we stay as spirit and we support others that are then in physical existence, just like our animal friends do when they transition. What I find so beautiful about that is when our animal friends transition, they're an ancestor for me now. Like, that's so beautiful that they haven't gone, their physical body is gone, but the spirit can never be destroyed. And in ways where they are limited in being a physical body, now they walk with me from a place that is unlimited. And they can come to me in dream time. They can come to me when I'm doing a ceremony or a journey. I can pray to them. I can call upon them. I can just say, I'm missing you so much. Can you just let me know that you're here? And a song will come on the radio quite unexpectedly, or a cloud formation might come. And I'm like, oh, that looks like my dog. Like, because spirit is in everything, and it's also infinite. So the ways that we're going to receive are infinite and are unlimited. And that's the beauty of me of going, spirit is who we are. It's not separate to us. It's not, oh, well, human, so we can't have that spiritual connection. We are an expression of spirit in human form, as our animal friends are. But as I say, what they are pulling us back into is like, hey, be in this space of your soul evolution, do your personal work, go within and feel the soul that you are, and the connection that we have to all of life.
That's beautiful. I love that. And just as a reminder for people that are just tuning in, you are listening to Wake Up Laguna with Rick Jorgensen and my very fantastic, wonderful guest, Isla Fishburn, sharing with us. So, Isla, the other question I had in something that I read was your concept of spiritual ecology. How does that influence your approach to wellness? Where does that come in?
Yeah. Oh, beautiful question. I love spiritual ecology. So, I mean, heck, that takes me back to when I was doing conservation biology and my PhD, my undergrad in zoology, where just an understanding of ecology, how ecosystems work and the interaction of ecosystems and how everything is interconnected in that way. But spiritual ecology goes deeper than that, which is, like we've already shared, the discussion of everything is alive and everything is not only interconnected, but speaking to one another, speaking to each other. I mean, there's a lot of beautiful studies and discussion now around like how trees have their own ecosystem and have their own like almost internet information, internet signal, just like the mushrooms do. So it's dropping into this space of, as human, we are not separate to anything. As human, we are not superior to anything. In fact, in many ways, when we are not being soul-led and we're being led by the mind instead, we are very much inferior to all of life that is living from their divine wisdom, which is what we have. And so with spiritual ecology, it is tapping into the concept of everything is alive, everything is connected, and everything has spirit. So if I'm, I don't know, if I'm sad, like I'm really sad, you know what? What feels right for me? I'm going to be with a tree. I'm going to sit with a tree and just speak to the tree. I'm going to go, hey, like I'm really hurting right now. Could you transform these emotions for me? I mean, trees are beautiful transformers. You know, they bring in carbon dioxide, kick out oxygen for us to live and exist. It might be, I just want to lie down with the earth and go, hey, earth, I need some support. I need some guidance. I need some nurturing. I need some holding. I see you. I know that you're alive. Can you sing me a song? I'd really appreciate for me to receive a song from you. So that's the beauty of so many people say to me, like, well, what can I do? Or how can I receive? Or what can I receive? Well, spirit is infinite and spirit is unlimited. So what it is that we need, we will receive in the way that we need it, but on who we are based on our spirit, where we've come from, what we have been, what we're destined to be, that spirit will speak to us in all these ways and through nature. And not just through nature, but what I love is, I know I mentioned before, like how a song may come on the radio. I even love when sometimes I'm connecting with an animal guardian, and just when they're having a pain point and they're like, oh, I don't want to go there maybe, and they try and get there, and then their Zoom freezes. I'm like, that's spirit right there speaking to us. So spirit doesn't define between, oh, it only comes when you're in nature. Spirit isn't everything, whether we see it or not. And it's really just practicing and just planting this seed that everything is alive and spirit is speaking to me all the time, regardless of whether it's in my animal friend, in a tree, or whether I see it or not. It's always there supporting me.
Absolutely. How can we, as animal guardians, those of us that are in that position, how can we support our pets' spiritual wellness in everyday life?
What a question. Oh, okay. Let me feel into this, because I'm like, everything, so many things to share. So actually, a lot of it starts with the self, because our animal friends are already in their wholeness. Our animal friends are emotional beings, just like we were when we were children. We start off as emotion, we're feeling. So a phrase that I often say is, because we're physical matter, matter doesn't think, it feels. Because we are physical matter as humans, we should be feeling, not thinking. So as animal guardians, I will always share, let's go into feeling rather than thinking, which is what our animal friends are doing. Our animal friends, like you shared, of our animal friends, they don't think. Their body can have experiences that make associations. So for example, particularly if they've had trauma, for example, so of course that's true and right and good, and we need to support them in that way. But they are not sitting at home going, oh, I remember when I got hit by that car and that was like really scary, and when we're going to get hit by a car again. That's what we do as humans when we're in the head. But if we drop into the heart, really drop down into this heart space and see our dogs, but not give them a label. So this is a thing, like, as I've already shared, I've got Cocker Spaniels, you've got a beautiful King Charles, and that's just a word that we have given to this beautiful sacred physical form. So I can sit at home going, oh, there's my Cocker Spaniels, they're Cocker Spaniels, this is what it means to be a Cocker Spaniel, this is what it means to be a dog. But if we can just take a moment, drop into the heart and be like, what does it mean to be you? Not as dog, not as Cocker Spaniel, not as these are my conditions that I've been told what it means to be dog or not. Forget all those things. Imagine I've not seen you, I don't even know what you are. How do I get to be curious about who are you beyond the physical body that they're in? And then how we can start to feel into, what are you then presenting to me? What are you trying to show me? And I love going into this space, because although our animal friends are on their own spiritual journey from their past lives, or what they've also come to heal from, or what they've also come to experience, they also, as an expression of spirit in their wholeness, have come to say to us, hey, we kind of need you on it. We need you in your wholeness as well. In order for this to work, we need you in your wholeness. So what I always love is to ask someone, whatever your animal friend is presenting to you, how does that make you feel? Someone might say to me, oh, well, I feel really guilty that I put my animal on these drugs and I've now realized there's these side effects and they might be long lasting, or I feel really guilty about it. I'm like, okay, so the experience, the event is irrelevant. What's relevant is the feeling behind it. So your dog in that moment is showing itself as an expression of spirit to go, we need you to heal from guilt. What we're inviting you to really, really look at, from no blame, no shame, no judgment, is when was the first time you were made to feel guilty? When was the first time you were told that you did something wrong, when in fact you didn't do anything wrong? And you've been carrying around that in your body for the rest of your life, and then you've been putting on your dog, you're wrong, you can only do this, you can't do that. Our animal friends are just behaving. They don't know what right or wrong is. They're just like, oh, I'm having an experience, I'm feeling, and I'm responding. But how does that make us feel when they present something? So for me, it's like a number one protocol for their wellness is going within of, okay, my animal friend is an expression of spirit that my own soul has beautifully pulled into my life, that spirit has beautifully gifted to me for my own healing journey. And besides all this is what it means to be dog, and this is how I need to raise my dog, particularly if we've got an animal as a puppy, particularly if we've got an animal that has trauma. Of course, in that sense, it's like we need you to understand how we can exist in life and be safe. And that's kind of like a separate conversation. But also, how is my animal friend guiding me, inviting me to go, do you know what? You are perfect as you are. You are beautiful as you are. Look at me. I might have eyes missing. I might have a leg missing. I might have a great big wart. But I accept me for who I am, and I'm full of unconditional love, which is what our animal friends emit back to us. They're asking us, do you love yourself as much as you love me? Do you love yourself? Full stop. And for me, that's always, let's ask that question, because that's where we can then explore what our animal friend needs and how we give it to them.
That's beautiful. I love that. We're going to take just a quick break, play a couple of promo spots here, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to ask you about co-creative partnerships. So hold that thought, but we'll be right back.
KXFM 104.7 Laguna Beach Radio.
Hey, it's Open Water wishing you a very happy holiday and reminding you that if you're struggling this holiday season, you're not alone. We're all just pretending for each other. Isn't that beautiful in its own way? I'm pretending right now. You're picturing me in the studio surrounded by a bunch of DJs dressed like elves while Alyssa hands out gifts tied up in bright red bows. When really, I'm just broadcasting from a public restroom in Aliso. Again, if you're lonely or despondent and you need, 14 or 15 songs in a row that echo that sentiment, then Open Water has your back every Thursday at 5. And if you're doing just fine, then maybe find a way to share it out. Happy holiday. No, it's cool. I'll tear down right now. Hey, wash your hands,
Join
okay?
me, Chris Amadeo, on Vagabond Soul Radio, Wednesdays 8 to 10 p.m. on KXFM. It's a deep dive into the music and zeitgeist of the entire decade of the 70s. Join me, 8 to 10 p.m. Wednesdays on KXFM. Tune in, turn on.
Greetings, friends and neighbors. George Dugan with you. I'm your host for Art Matters on Tuesdays at 1 p.m., where myself and my learned guests talk about the issues facing our creative community here in the art colony. So please tune in to KXFM 104.7 at 1 p.m. on Tuesdays. And remember, friends, the soul and vitality of any community is often measured by how they treat their creatives.
Tune in, turn on to KXFM 104.7, Laguna's community radio.
All right, everybody, we are back live on Wake Up Laguna with Rick Jorgensen and my fabulous guest, Isla Fishburn. And the conversation that we've been having, Isla, has been amazing. And I'm looking forward to diving into the next question, if that's okay with you. You talk about co-creative partnerships with life. How does that look in practice when working with animals?
Oh, beautiful question. All these questions have been beautiful. So there's kind of with animals, because they are physical, and often as humans, we make the decision and the choice to choose what animal we're going to be coexisting with. So it might be, I'm going to choose to get a puppy. I'm going to choose to go to a rescue center and rescue a dog or a cat or a horse or whatever it may be. So our mind tells us, I've actively made that decision. So I myself have physically chosen to now bring this animal friend into my home. There's a much higher purpose at play where it's like before we came into this physical existence and before our animal friend came to into their physical existence, when we were spirit, we've kind of had this conversation that we've forgotten that says, look, I'm going to meet you in this place, in this time, on this date, and we're going to be in coexistence together again. And I say again because I can't guarantee and can't say that it's always, but I also would like to say it's always the case that the animal friends that are in our life, it's just, again, it's just a rolling contract. It's just a rolling cycle where we have been in existence together before, and chances are we'll be in existence together again. Doesn't mean to say that we've been human and that animal before. It could be we've been the animal and they've been the human. It could be that we've all been humans. It could be that we've all been animals. That doesn't matter. But we're having this kind of rolling cycle, like when the ocean, the waves come in and roll the rocks in, and the rocks go back out and they roll back in again. And for me, that's kind of creating a co-created relationship, a co-creative partnership. For me, I do it in all ways. So I have written a couple of books. Both books I co-created with nature, with the consciousness of my animal friends, and with certain plant allies. So I'm in this space of like, oh, I'm feeling something to create. Who wishes to create this with me? And I don't question, I don't go out, I don't decide from my mind. I sit in quiet space, quiet contemplation from the heart, and go, okay, who is kind of raising their hand? Who is making themselves known to me? And for me, this is the space of the co-creative partnership with our animal friends. It is a coexistence, not a, I have brought you into my house, you will do as I say, and that's a dictatorship. But from that place of being heart-centered and soul-led, it's like, hey, I see you as you see me. I see you as a sentient being that is sacred, that is divine, that is in itself an expression of spirit divine. I'm curious to know, why are you in my life? How are you in my life? And also what you need. So it's very much it's always a compromise. Sometimes people come to me of this, have this beautiful romance of, going for long off-lead walks on the beach with their dog, going into the city, sitting outside a coffee shop, and the dog's being friendly to all. And that's a beautiful romance, and that can be a beautiful reality for some animals. But other animals, like, hey, I've been brought into existence for this, and that is too much for me. And we make our animal friends, or try and make our animal friends, to do something that they're actually saying, this isn't comfortable for me. Can you please hear me? Can you please listen to me? And being in that space of co-creation, it's about, wow, how am I here with my animal friend, and how is my animal friend in my life, where we can create this co-creative partnership. So it is a compromise of, this is what I need, this is what feels right for me. And it takes me back to, imagine when we were children, when we were desperately trying to say to an adult or a role model in our life, hey, this is not right for me, or I'm confused, or I'm frustrated, or will someone just listen to me? And we're constantly told, shut up, you're annoying, child should be seen and not heard. We kind of often unconsciously put the wounds that we are carrying from our own childhood onto our dogs or onto our animal friends, that they do so lovingly, because that's what they're here to help us heal from and move into soul evolution. So for me, it's this co-creation, just like we would with a work colleague. They are our colleagues, they're our family in that way of, how can I support my animal friend, and equally, how are they in my life to support me? So we have this leads us into our consciousness, how we can channel with them, how we can, even in their behavior, we don't have to channel with them, even by understanding or by feeling. That's really what it is, feeling their behavior, feeling what they're emitting, feeling what they're sharing. Then it goes, okay, we are now in co-creation here.
Yeah. So when my beautiful Macy May is barking, because she can see images on the television screen, which always boggles my mind, but she can see, and usually she's barking at, usually it's other animals, right? But she's wagging her tail while she's barking, right? To me, that's sending a signal to say, I just want to play, but I'm going to bark at them. And she'll actually run, our television sits in a big console and up against the wall, and on the other side of that wall is our bedroom. And she will actually at times run behind the television into the bedroom, thinking that what she's looking at is a mirror. I mean, not a mirror, is a window, and she's looking out. I find it fascinating. But, what's interesting is the types of things that irritate us, like when she starts barking at the TV. My first instinct is tell her to hush up. Macy, hush. But then I've gotten to the point where I just kind of let her be, because she's speaking. She's emoting to the what's on the TV. And if I get somewhat irritated with it, rather than try to correct her, I'll hit the guide button on the remote, which brings up another screen, which takes away that image. And then she quiets down, because whatever she was barking at has now gone away, right? So but it's interesting how we as humans, as guardians, react to something that our animal is doing in any given moment that may irritate us, right? That may, but there's a reason that they're doing this. They're wanting to show us something. They're wanting to communicate something to us, and I don't think, from an intuitive standpoint, that we spend enough time feeling, right, what's really happening with our pets, right? We're not feeling it, and so I love that a large part of your practice is helping people intuitively, in that guidance, work with and connect more to their animals, right? So
it's actually such a beautiful example that you've given, bringing forward like the word reaction, like we react to that, oh, the dog's doing something. And what I love, actually, for the number of times that I've now connected to the soul consciousness or connected to the conscious of an animal that, for example, might be barking, again, because we are told, or a dog barks for various different reasons. There are an infinite amount of reasons beyond what our mind can comprehend of why an animal is barking. And so, not saying it is for Dia Maisie, but she could be barking because in past lives she's like, hey, I recognize that animal because I used to be one of those. It could simply be, hey, I'm a dog, I'm a social being, I love to play, I recognize these animals, I want to go off and play, and haven't quite mastered the concept of a TV. But what is so beautiful, like you've shared and described, is that you're acknowledging her feelings. And okay, all I need to do is, rather than getting irritated or annoyed or telling her to shut up, because she is well within her right to express how she needs to express, without, it's like if we're yelling and shouting, in some way it is the concept of, oh, the dog, it can be like, oh, my human is also barking along with me as well. But it creates confusion because, you know, sometimes people will say to me, oh, I want my dog to understand when they're doing wrong. I'm like, but that's not a concept for them. When we're children, it's not a concept for us. Again, it's just a belief system that's being placed into us. So they can be a bit like, oh, like, what? Like, how come your emotion has changed? But taking this as an example, if we go to this space of, right, okay, easy concept is, I'm just going to change the guide screen so that animals disappear for a while and, oh, she stops barking. So that's not so irritating. But if this, for me, it's, the question I always bring forward, if we go back to what I was sharing about what is the animal presenting, what happens is that when we basically carry within us these unconscious charges, they're unconscious until they're ready to be felt. And so because, like I said before, because we're physical matter, we should be feeling. We're feeling beings, not thinking beings. But again, we've been conditioned to think, and it's something outside of me. It's nothing to do with it. It's something outside of me. So we kind of feel this charge, but partly because it's painful and partly because we're being told it's something outside of us to blame, we don't go to the charge. Whereas what we do is, in that moment, we can go, oh, curious, little Maisie's barking. That's creating a charge in me. Let me go to the feeling of that charge. Okay, that feeling of the charge is irritability. Okay, well, what is this? If this irritability had a voice, which it does because everything is consciousness, so irritability exists, it has consciousness. If I could sit this irritability, if I could sit in front of me, say, hey, pull up a chair, here's a beer. If you had a voice, what do you want to share to me? Like, how do you want to be embodied? How do you want to be loved? What is it that you need? Then that's, again, our soul evolution. That's the activation of part or one of the layers of our healing journey. So as an example for me, I'm going to give you two examples, actually. One of them, which it's happened to me quite a few times, not myself, but with animal guardians that I've worked with, around barking, where the charge actually for the human guardian, I'm not saying it's for you at all, Rick, but for the animal guardian, has been around, yes, and where in your life have you been oppressed? Where in your life have you been told your voice is not relevant and don't you dare speak up? And it is, I mean, even sharing that now, it just brings an overwhelming sense of emotion, because again, for most of us, particularly as children, or particularly maybe in business or in relationships, we've been told you are not relevant, your voice does not count, your opinion does not matter. And so we kind of get irritated by like, oh, my dog feels they're free to speak, because they are, but what they're emoting also back to us is go, hey, it's also free for you to speak. Another example is a personal example for me, which is actually my two current dogs, Manitou and Lilu, is that we got them as pups, and when they got to the age, like they were first walking beautifully on the lead, great, and then they got to the age where they were like, everything's so exciting, and we're a little bit bigger, and they're pulling on the lead, and so they're pulling on the lead, and just because I'm in this space now, as I say, this has been a long walk for me, but I'm in this space now where I can recognize when a charge comes in, and I catch it and go, okay, let me feel you, let me be with you. So what I felt when Manitou and Lily were pulling on the lead was anger. And I'm like, curious. I would like to say I'm a person that's not angry. Clearly, I have some residue there. So I wasn't saying, stupid dogs, don't you dare pull. I was like, curious. When my animals are pulling on the lead, what charge comes for me is anger. So when I got home, I noted it. I need to put some space aside to be with this anger. Let me be with it. And when I sat with it, again, thank you, Manitou and Lulu, for bringing my healing to me, because I've realized I've got anger in my body that is ready to be released. And when I sat with it, I realized it's kind of like it's layered. So some of it was from like little girl Isla, when I was around many, many adults. And as a little girl Isla, I was still like, hey, I know I'm a child, but I've got stuff to say in this conversation. I want to be part of this conversation. I've got important things to say, but I was always silenced, or I was hushed, or I wasn't invited to be included in the conversation. So it's kind of like the angry, frustrated Isla of like, will someone just listen to me? So there was that. And then as that kind of felt cleared and loved and met, I was like, what else is there? And I'm like, it's my mom's anger. It's the anger that my mom's carried in her life from when she was a child, and the trauma that she experienced that she shouldn't have experienced when she was a young, innocent, vulnerable child. And it's not just my mom's, it's my grandmother's. So as I say, we can kind of follow this trail that is activated so beautifully by our animal friends being in our life, rather than going, stupid dog, you're barking, don't you dare bark. But equally saying, and you are free to emote how you need because you're feeling, but how can we also support you?
So, Isla, what I hear you saying is that we really don't need therapists when we have these beautiful animals in our lives, because they truly are our therapist. If we listen, if we feel into what they are telling us in that moment, and how it's not even what they're telling us, but it's the emotion that's being pulled out of us in that moment, like you said beautifully about, whether it's pulling on the lead, or in my case, Macy barking at the television. Why am I feeling this? What's bringing this feeling up? And I just think that's beautiful. And I think that's a large part of the importance of your work and what you do, and bringing the awareness of the real gift that our animals bring us, the real gift that we have as guardians, and the relationship that we have with our pets. So I've got a couple more questions for you. This is going to be a good one for you, Isla. What's one simple action listeners can take today to improve the wellness of their pets and themselves? One simple action.
Notice the feeling and allow yourself to be unconditional love.
Love it. Beautiful. And then, well, that might be the answer also to my final question, which is, do you have a final message or a piece of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience?
Oh, is it? Can I channel? Would that be welcomed?
Absolutely. Would love that.
Yeah, let me, and if, I'm getting a band for, obviously, the audience, I'm getting a bandana now, because the way that I channel, I always have to put a bandana over my eyes, so it makes me just go into space rather than, I'm in a room and I'm on a radio and show. And so as I'm doing that, I will also share one little piece of information. Is one of my animal friends who's now transitioned, she's in spirit, Tunkasila shared to me that animals come into our lives to be the elixir of our spiritual amnesia. So I'm just going to plant that as a seed first.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, animals are in our lives to be the elixir of our spiritual amnesia. So lasting little bit of wisdom. And so, yeah, I'm going to channel from the canine people. To us, you are our brothers and sisters. To you, we should be your brothers and sisters. There is no separation to our existence. There is no separation to our desires. We are comfortable in our desire of joy. In every breath, we breathe joy. And in each one of your breaths, we invite you to breathe in joy. We know that we are fantastic, and you too are fantastic. We ask you to breathe in that you are fantastic. We wish for you to realize, and as you are realizing, to tell yourself the greatness that you are. You see the greatness in us, and we know that we are great, and as we are great, as are you. For all is the same. For all is the same. And in being the same, all that exists is love. And you are love. You are love. We ask for you to breathe in love. We ask for you to breathe out love. We ask for you to breathe in love. We ask for you to breathe out love. Our connections are not a coincidence. Our connections have formed before they formed. And our connections move out beyond, into the invisible, into the infinite, and we surround you. Notice your dreaming, and notice what appears in your dreams. We send love to you. We send love to you.
Wow. Thank you, animal people.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Isla, that was fabulous. And what a wonderful, wonderful way to end our time together for now. So thank you for that. And thank you for sharing all that you shared with us. I want to let everybody know that if you want to reach out to Isla, there's a number of ways to do it, but I think the easiest way is to go to her website, which is KachinaCanine.com. You can just search out Kachina Canine on Google, and it'll come right up as well, as I have done. And this show will be uploaded, and I will share it out to the world with you as well. And Isla, I will share it with you, and you can share it out to your world. because I just think everything that you gave us today was so important and so beautiful. And I just feel that this is such a important connection spiritually that we all have the ability to do, and we all should be doing in spending time with our animals as guardians, right? So, Isla, thank you so much. I will definitely be in touch with you over the next day or two, and we can have further conversation. But thank you so much for sharing with my audience, and have a blessed rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so beautiful to be with you, sending you love and many blessings. Thank you.
Thank you. That was incredible, folks. Absolutely incredible. What a beautiful, beautiful soul she is. So happy to share that with all of you. And as I said, this will be, this is being recorded. I'll upload this to my show page and upload it as well to my YouTube channel.